So, good day sa lahat. So, ang topic natin ngayon ay tungkol sa chi-square test of independence. Kung mapapansin nyo, na-discuss na natin ito for sa midterm coverage nyo. Okay? Pero, i-discuss natin ulit since sinali siya sa final exam. So, mag-start tayo sa definition. So, what is this chi-square test of independence? So, it is a statistical hypothesis test used to determine whether two categorical or nominal variables are likely to be related or not. So, dito naman, yung variables na involved is categorical or nominal. So, before, yung non-parametric test, diba yung Kruskal-Wallis, yung tatlong non-parametric test natin, yung involved na variable doon ay ordinal. So, dito naman, so, categorical pati nominal. Also, ito, you can use the test when you have counts of values for two categorical variables. And if you have only a table of values that shows frequency counts, you can use the test, this chi-square test. Okay. So for today's discussion, so we will tackle what we need for this test. So how to do this test. We will also understand the results, the statistical details, and we also we will try to understand the values. So what do we need? So here, kung ano yung main na kailangan para magamit natin itong test na ito. So first, ito. So for the chi-square test of independence, we need two variables. So naman yung variables, yung nag-represent, variables represents either x, y, z, yung mga ganyan, yung mga variables natin. Okay? And second, so our idea is that variables are not related. So these two variables, dapat hindi sila related itong dalawa. Okay? Now, for example, no, ang variables na yon ito. So we have list of movies genres. So this is our first variable. Our second variable is whether or not the patrons of those genres bought snacks at the theater. So our idea, so is that the type of movie and whether or not people bought snack are unrelated. Okay? So yun yung variable, yung type of movie, pati kung yung bumili ba yung mga tao ng snack. So yan yung dalawang variable natin. Then the problem is, ito yung dapat nating isolve. So the owner of the movie theater wants to estimate how many snacks to buy. So if movie type and snack purchases are unrelated, so estimating will be simpler than if the movie types impact snack sales. Okay. So for our second example, ito. A veterinary clinic has a list of dog breeds they see as patients. So yung iba't ibang uri ng klase ng aso. So ito yung first natin na variable. So para sa second na variable, so whether owners feed dry foods, canned goods, or a mixture. So yan yan, dalawa na yung diba yung first na kailangan natin, dapat meron tayong dalawang variables, tapos yung variables na dapat hindi related. So ito, so dito sa problem, so meron na tayong dalawang variable. Ito yung breed ng aso, pati yung types ng food na kinakain nila. So second, dapat hindi related itong dalawa. So ito, our idea is that the dog breed and types of foods are unrelated. So if this is true, then the clinic can order food based only on the total number of dogs without consideration for the breeds. Okay? So now we proceed. So for a valid test, so we need data values that are simple random sample from the population of interest. Simple random sample from a population. So let's say a population, yung whole student ng USM. Tapos yung random dyan. So mag-pick ka lang. Halimbawa kung gusto mong mag-pick sa engineering, isang section sa engineering. So yun yung random na pag-pick. Pero yung parang bunot-bunutan ba, isulat lahat ng list of sections, tapos ilagay sa garapon, i-mix-mix, tapos magpunot ka doon. Yung simple lang. Okay? Next, yun yan, yung data values that are a simple random sample from the population of interest. So yung study mo. So next, so we need two categorical or nominal variables. Okay? Then, so for each combination of the levels of the two variables, we need at least 5 expected values. So, hindi bababa. Okay? When we have fewer than 5 for any one combination, the test results are not reliable. Okay? So, possible na parang yun nga, yung kulang yung detalye. So parang hindi ka makakonclude. So next, so para maintindihan pa natin lalo yung chi-square test of independence, so we have this example. Suppose that the state legislator is considering a bill to lower the legal drinking age to 18. A political scientist is interested in whether there is a relationship between party affiliation and attitude toward the bill. So a random sample of 150 registered Republicans and 200 registered Democrats are asked their opinion about the proposed bill. So the data are presented on the next slide. Okay? So dito, yung sample natin is 150 Republicans and 200 Democrats. So ito yung first variable natin. Dito, tingnan nyo. So ito yung variable natin. Yung Republicans, first variable is Republicans, Democrat. Tapos yung second variable is ito yung in favor, yung undecided, pati yung against. Okay. So yun na, nag-examine na sila, di ba? Yung total, meron tayong 350 sample total na tao. Tapos ito na yung result nung pag-survey. Ito, the bold numbers are the observed frequencies. So yan, yung total nito 150, tapos ito yung 130, yung total na pabor, tapos yung 35 yung hindi sure, yung undecided, tapos yung 85 yung against. Okay. Yan na yung table natin. Distribution table. So next, ito. So now we determine the expected frequencies. So first, i-add natin yung columns and the rows to get the total as shown in the previous slide. So ito yung total. So before pa ito, itong mga naka-bold. So yan pa lang muna yung data natin. And then total 38 plus 17 plus 95. Yan yung first step. 150. Then 92 plus 18 plus 90, 200. And then ito 38 plus 92, 130, and so on. So second, to obtain the expected frequency within a particular cell. So within a particular cell, ito yung per box. So per box, so meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 boxes or 6 cells. Okay? So perform the following operation. Multiply the row total tayo magbase, and the column total for the cell in question, and then divide the product by the total number of respondents. So para maintindihan pa natin, ito yung pag-calculate. Itong second. Okay? Second. Ito siya. Yung sinabi dito, para makuha yung expected value, so simply, 130 times 150 divide by 350. So we have this calculator. So ang sagot nito is 55.7. So kung makikita nyo, 130 times 150 divided by 350. So we have this 55.7. Okay? Then, kunin yan lahat, each cell. So, kunin yan siya lahat. Okay? So, meron tayong, ito na yung nakuha natin ng mga expected values. So, mga violet. So, tingnan nyo ha. So, 35. Diba yung column yan? So, 35 para makuha ito. So, ito yung intersection ng dalawa. So, 150 and 35. So, 35 times 150 divided by 350. So, fix yung 350. 15. Okay? Yan. So, ito naman, sa 90. So, yan. Oh. Bali, 185 times 200. Then, i-divide natin siya sa 350. So, 185 times 200 divided by 350. So, meron tayong 105.7 and so on. Okay? Pag-compute nito. So, next. So, note ha. Ito note. So, F sub 0, ito yung frequency obtained. Tapos yung F sub E is the frequency expected. Then ito, yung null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis under investigation in the chi-square test of independence is that the two variables are independent. So not related. So sa example, sa halimbawa natin, ito yung null hypothesis natin. So yung null hypothesis, there is no relationship between political party and the attitude toward lowering the legal drinking age. So yung alternative hypothesis natin is simply tatanggalin mo lang itong yung word na no. So yung null hypothesis natin, there is a relationship between these two variable. Okay? So next, yon. Meron na tayong hypothesis. So now, ito. So understanding the expected value. If the null hypothesis is true, so then the percentage of those who favor lowering the drinking age will be equal for each political party. So mag-equal. Okay, yung sa favor lang, doon lang tayo sa magbase sa mga yung pabor sa yun yung bill. So mag-equal daw for each party. So dapat ito mag-equal ito. Ito yung 55 pati 74. Dapat mag-equal yan sila. So notice that the expected value for each opinion are proportional for the number of persons surveyed in each party. So, kung makikita nyo naman, di ba? Kakalapit lang. Okay? Next. So, ito. Kinuha yung percentage. So, 42%, 42.8% ng sa respondent ay Republicans at 57.2% sa respondent ay Democrat. So sa pagkuha nito, simple, yung 150, i-divide mo lang siya sa 350. Tapos yung 200, i-divide siya sa 350. So makuha mo na ito. Yung sa pagkuha ng percentage. Ganito yan siya. So 150 divided by 350 equal, ito, 0.42857. Then, kung i-convert mo siya into percent, ganyan, so magiging 42.8. Okay? Since kung percentage, diba, kung kunin mo yung percentage nito, so pag i-total mo yan lahat, dapat mag-equal yan sa 100. So ito, 42.8 plus 57.2 is 100%, which is yung 350. Ito, the numbers in green are the percentage of the total for each party. Yan yung dami ng tao. Dami ng respondent. Okay. So for the expected values, so the expected values for each cell are also equal to the percentage of each party for the column total. For example, the Republicans were 42% of the total person surveyed. So 42% yung dami nila. So ito. So if 130 people were in favor of the bill, then 42.8% of them should be Republicans. Okay, yung 55.7. Ito siya, yung 55.7. Diba? Kasi yun nga, 42% yung sa tao dito. 42.8% ay yung dami, yung pabor is yung galing sa Republican, 42%, 42.8% lang yung pabor sa yung sa bill. So if there is no relationship between the variable, simple yung tingnan yung maliit lang. Okay, next. So in calculating the chi-square statistic, so we have this formula. So chi-square is equal to the summation, ito summation of the frequency obtained minus a frequency expected, yung quantity square, over the frequency expected. So, kung makikita nyo dito, tingnan nyo. Ito yung frequency, yan yung frequency obtained, yung mga, ito 38, 17, 95, 92, 18, and 90. And then, yung frequency expected, ito yung 55.7, 15, 79.3, 74.3, 20, 105.7. So, ang sinabi dito, yun nga, yung summation. So, pwede mo siyang isa-isahin. So, pwede mo siya, bale, ito yung FO. So, yung frequency obtained minus frequency expected, yung square over frequency expected. So, dito, 38 minus 55.7, parentheses, square over 55.7. So, sa next slide, makikita nyo rin yung pag-compute nun. So, ito na siya. So, each cell, so sa kada cell, baanin man yung cell. And then, ito na yung total. So, makuha nyo na result since Yung sa formula is meron tayong ito, yung summation. Okay, summation na sign. So, i-add natin itong lahat. Okay? So, ito yung chi-square, meron tayong 15.75. Okay? Yan na yung calculated natin na statistic. So, interpreting the result, ito. The calculated value for the chi-square statistics, yun nga yung 15.75 is compared to the critical value found in our table. Table. Ito siya. Ayan. Basta yung table para yung chi-square na distribution table. Yung pagbabasihan nyo. Ang kailangan lang natin is yung alpha pati yung degree of freedom. Okay? So ito sa book man ito yung ginabasa mo. So kayo may copy din man kayo nun. So note, yung binigay ko rin sa inyo na book, okay, yung applied statistics na book. So nandoon din yun sa pinaka last part. So makikita nyo doon yung mga list ng table. Pati na rin sa ibang test. So hindi lang dito sa chi-square. So note, the distribution of the chi-square statistic is not normal and the critical values are only one side. Okay? Take note ha, one side lang. So if the obtained value are close to the expected value, then the chi-square statistic will approach zero. As the obtained value is different from the expected, the value of chi-square will increase. This is reflected in the values found in the table H. Hindi ko maklik. So the degrees of freedom for the chi-square test of independence is the product of the sum of rows minus 1 times the number of column minus 1. For next slide. So interpreting our result. So in our study, so we have 2 rows yung Republicans pati Democrats and 3 columns yung in favor, undecided pati against. So therefore, our degrees of freedom for our study is 2 minus 1 times 3 minus 1, which is 2. Okay? Diba yung 2 is 2. Then, if we use alpha, yung 0.05, so our critical value from the table, so we get this 5.991. So, i-verify nyo lang, tingnan nyo lang yung table, yung chi-square distribution table. So, yung gagamitin nyo is yung alpha, pati itong degrees of freedom para makuha nyo yung 599. And note, diba? Dito, tingnan nyo. So, yung decision, eto. We reject yung null hypothesis if yung na-calculate natin ay mas malaki pa sa yung critical value. Okay? Pag malaki yung na-calculate natin sa critical value, reject natin yung null hypothesis natin. So dito, since our calculated chi-square is 15.75, so tingnan nyo. So ibig sabihin, yung 15.75, di ba? Mas malaki siya sa critical value na 5.991. So we conclude that there is a relationship between the political party and opinion on lowering the drinking age. So we reject the null hypothesis. So here, di ba sa atin, so before tayo mag-conclude is, ito muna yung muna. So i-reject natin yung, ibigay natin itong yung result since yung 15.5, mas malaki sa 5.991. So we reject the null hypothesis. Therefore, yan na, yung sagot, yung conclusion natin, there is a relationship between political party and opinion on lowering the drinking age. Okay? Then, we are done. So, yung sa pagsagot, medyo complicated ito. So, dito, basahin nyo na lang ito. So, this is your reading assignment. So, yung sa pagsagot nyo is ganito, ito yung basahin nyo. So, first, state nyo muna yung hypothesis nyo. Okay? Yung null, pati alternative. Then, isulat nyo yung given, yung alpha. And then, pwede rin yung alpha, tapos yung degrees of freedom. So, isulat nyo na dito para hindi makalimutan. Then, yung test statistic natin, yung calculated value. Tapos yung decision. So, we reject, yun nga, yung null hypothesis, kung masatisfy niya ito. Okay? And then, yun na, yung computation. Yung computation, kunin natin yung chi-square. Then, yung based sa result. So, yun na, yung decision, reject null hypothesis. So, pwede rin. Yun na, hindi siya ma-reject. So, for conclusion, so, yun na, at alpha 0.01, ito na, there is a significant relationship between kung ano yung problem. Okay? So, dito, since meron tayong, yan nga, online tool, hindi na kayo mahirapan. So, mag-input na lang kayo ng data. Input na lang kayo ng data dito. And, huwag niyong kalimutan yung conclusion. Okay? Dito man sa minsan, usual, sa pinapasa niyo ng mga assignments, yung activities niyo sa PLE, is kulang. Okay? Walang conclusion. Tapos, pati na rin yung, minsan yung nawawala sa inyo is yung hypothesis nyo. So, meron nga kayong computation. So, ano yung problem? Wala doon yung problem. So, nag-compute lang kayo ng walang problem. So, kulang. Okay? So, dapat detailed. Kahit ganito lang. Okay? Ito. Ganyan lang yung pagkakasunod-sunod. Okay, we are done.